Welcome to Medica Nova Wellness Studio. I'm Angelika Maria Koch with your educational videos about optimal health and the most innovative and holistic approach for your well-being. Happy New Year! I'm so happy to be back. Just came back from travels. And let's continue with our inspiring discovery series, Healthy Family and Soul Medicine. Today I want to focus on the theme colics in infants. Now this can be a really stressful situation, not only for the baby, but also for the parents who are trying desperately with all their wisdom and tools to calm down their screaming baby, and often without results. So in this video I will share with you the most effective and natural remedies which are able to turn around this time of madness in no time. If you still have doubts, try and see it for yourself. This video is packed with a lot of gold nuggets of information with the most effective therapeutic tools. All what you can get hold of in your local health food store. You just need to know how to use it. And this is why I come in. And this is why I make these videos. Let's have a look at the term colic first, and also milk intolerance, which can be a trigger to creating colics. So colic simply means sort of like sharp, intermittent means comes and goes, abdominal pains or cramps, which occur in babies while their digestive system is still maturing. Now colic has a very specific symptomatology of expression. So the babies either pull up their legs towards the abdomen, or they arch back and make themselves very stiff, or the consistency and color of the stool might change. Now mothers of breastfed babies with colic really should consider and have a look at their diet, because often that can trigger the colic. I will give you a list of the most common ones. I would say if the mother has a tendency for lactose intolerance, cow's milk or dairy comes to mind here. I would also say all the stimulants from tea to coffee, even chocolate, spices, maybe chili can trigger it. Any vegetable or food which produces a lot of gas and flatulence, maybe broccoli, Brussels sprouts, even onion and garlic. And I would definitely stay away from raw red peppers, because they're very hard to be broken down and to be assimilated. But the number one on the list is a glass of wine and grapes. And of course, during the pregnancy, a conscious mom has avoided all alcohol or stimulants, and now finally, after the birth, she feels like, I want to just kick back and have a glass of wine in the evening. I tell you 100% your child will have colic the next day. Try to avoid while breastfeeding any alcohol whatsoever, but particular wine and grapes. I also would say fruits which contain stones, apricots, cherries maybe. And have an appointment with your breastfeeding counselor and have a look at your diet, and maybe you can find the triggers. Some bottle-fed babies are allergic to cow's milk, and here I would suggest goat's milk. Not soya milk, but goat's milk. Now, goat's milk has a similar taste like mother's milk and is very easily assimilated throughout the body. I can really verify that, because when my two sons were very small, they really enjoyed. I'll give you a little tip here. Half a bottle of fresh squeezed carrot juice and goat's milk, and sort of half. And it is a little sweet, natural sweetener. I gave it to them in a lukewarm form, and they were lining up for this bottle. They really loved it. Now, if the colic starts sort of a week after giving birth, there may be a correlation with the drug sintometrin, which was given after giving birth. Sintometrin is sort of a combination of injections which contains two ingredients, active ingredients of oxytocin and ergometrin. And it's really used to try to deliver the placenta or preventing heavy bleeding after the delivery of the placenta. So there can be a correlation. Now, if that happens, there is a homeopathic remedy called Secale, and I would say 30, the potency. Usually there's a number behind the names. And give 1 tablet only to the child, and that might be just a solution. Now, some babies swallow a lot of air while they're breastfeeding, and that can cause the colic. Also, bottle-fed babies maybe have problems with the teat. So if the teat is too big for newborn babies, that can be a problem, or if it's too small for older babies. Also, if you feel like, your baby doesn't get comfortable, maybe experiment a little bit with feeding positions. It can be just a simple trick here, but always look at the teat as well. So I give you some do's and don'ts here, which help. Often help the baby to pass a stool. There may be some constipation. So I would, create a nice environment, get some olive oil or coconut oil, and start massaging the baby's abdomen in a clockwise movement, and really try to sort of break down the stagnation and get the peristalsis going again. Also, you can turn over your baby and sort of lay it flat over your legs, sort of, face down. And you can also take a rolled up towel maybe and place it under the baby's abdomen. With colic, they really like hard pressure against it. And later on I will show you a homeopathic remedy which really, really helps here as well. Also, I suggest some dill or fennel seed tea. I would say simmer a teaspoonful of seeds in 2 quarts of water, maybe for 10 minutes, let it cool down, and give the baby a teaspoon of that on a regular basis, particularly before feeding. Now, offer a bottle more of boiled and cooled down water rather than excessive milk. The reason why often these babies get dehydrated, and especially if it's during the summertime. So don't give excessive milk here, rather bring in some water as well. And for the mothers out there, just try to relax when you breastfeed your baby. Now, if you go through a stressful time and you feel very emotional, either exhausted or you even experience grief, that very much affects your baby, and the whole digestive system. Because our digestive system is actually a nervous system. Most of our accumulation of nerves is in our digestive system. That's why we feel everything there. So in my practice over the years, I always treat the mother too, because all the emotions just travel through the milk to the baby, and you share your emotions with your baby. So of course it will affect your nervous system of your baby as well. Also, as I said, eliminate suspect foods, the diet of your baby, when your baby maybe has started on solid foods, right? You're still breastfeeding, but it tries to experiment now with solid foods, and it just gets overwhelmed. Go back to more of a bland diet here. Now, often the baby, when they have a colic, they really would like to suckle, but give them more a dummy or the finger because they get sort of irritable or anxious, rather than too much breast milk, as I mentioned before. Now, don't let your baby get too desperate. When it's hungry, don't wait too long, because that can be a cause of gulping in too much air. Also avoid the gripe waters, because unfortunately they contain a lot of alcohol, so you don't want that. Now, if the colic persists, right, and you do everything what I share with you in this video and nothing helps, of course, then seek some professional and medical help. In particular, if the baby has projectile vomiting, there's maybe an absence of urine here. There can be excessive diarrhea or constipation, dehydration. We don't want that. Then, of course, seek professional help. But today I want to share with you really effective homeopathic remedies. And for the skeptics out there, yes, going rant here, but hey, I've done it so many times. I know they work. So give it a try, right? It's like, moms, you will love me for that. The first remedy is called chamomile. Chamomile is a plant like the chamomile tea, and it's a leading remedy for colics, which have a periodic sort of timetable. So they come and go. It's not all the time. And the nature of your child is crying, anger, and rage. And it says chamomile also comes closest to the experience of most colicky babies that their parents would dearly love to forget. So that gives you an idea, about the nature of this stressful situation. At the center is that your child is totally intolerant of the pain and would like you to stop it right there and then, right? It's like angry, it kicks, it screams, it pulls at the breast, it just can't be satisfied. That's the nature of it. Because in homeopathy, we want to try to find a remedy which matches the personality as well as the symptomatology, right? So it's like likes, cures, likes here, right? It's like, it's not the opposite. We want to try something which is similar to what the baby is presenting. Also pre-existing symptoms, like maybe the baby's teething right now, right? That in itself can cause already like symptoms like runny nose and spinach green stool, and then you have a double whammer coming up. That can get worse, right? With the anger and the irritability. Now, typically they are sort of red-faced if there is teething going on top of it, and it's usually the cheek where the tooth is pushing through. As I said, infuriated of pain. And, they wriggle around. As I said, they pull on the breast while nursing. And the only thing which comforts them is when you carry them around. Or if you put them in the car seat and drive them around the block. But as soon as you come home and try to put them in the cot, or, have some rest, the whole thing starts again. Colic usually starts in the late afternoon. I would say 4 or 5 o'clock, and then it drags out for 3 hours, and the screaming is really heightened at that time. There can be a very loose stool, even to the point of diarrhea, and the color is very sort of spinach green. Breastfed baby have this saffron, beautiful color, yellow color stool. Well, that's not the case with chamomile. It turns spinach green. So apart from and in between such episodes, the child is perfectly happy and healthy, only to start again, right? So here I would say go to your health food store and get the remedy chamomile 6. So there are numbers behind each name. 6 or 30, that's usually what you get over the counter. And I want you to get 6 and give 1 tablet 3 times a day. If they're too hard to swallow, I want you to get a tissue, roll the tablet in the tissue, get a back of a teaspoon, press it down, wet your finger, like the index finger, put the powder on there and rub it into your baby's gums and mouth. Sometimes, starts sort of sucking on it, little bits come out, but most of the time they stay in. Now you continue with that 3 times a day, giving these dosages as long as you need it. If there's an improvement setting in, you stop. Don't go further, and then repeat it when it's indicated. The next remedy is called COLOCYNTHIS. I know it's a difficult name, and I put up an image about the particular symptomatology. Now here, the baby you sort of lift it up, and it pulls up the legs towards the abdomen. It's very specific. Now, COLOCYNTHIS also can be used for adults. I've used it many times for IBS, for example, irritable bowel syndrome, even diverticulitis. And what's the specific sort of core essence here? It's like they want to double over, bend over, like this, and then they put their hand or even go to the edge of a table and press hard into it. They really like this. That's why I said if you see that, if you flip over your baby over your legs and face down and put a towel underneath and it gets better, try COLOCYNTHIS as well. That really gives it away. So the babies pull up their legs and sort of firm pressure around that area where you feel like the congestion really is located upon, makes it better. That is COLOCYNTHIS. Now again, COLOCYNTHIS 6 for the baby, 3 times a day, and do it for a day or two and you will see the difference. The next remedy is called DIOSCOREA. Again, also available in your health food store. Now here, it's very different. The baby arches back and makes it sort of very stiff, go like this, and maybe the hands are sort of in a fist and just arching back. You lift it up. Often you can see that there is this arching back or the stiffening and the legs pulling up. So what to do then? Well, if it's only arching back, you give DIOSCOREA 6 3 times a day, again as long as it's needed. But if you have both, the arching back and the pulling up the legs, I would say give COLOCYNTHIS 6 in the morning, 1 tablet, and DIOSCOREA 6, 1 tablet in the evening. And try to do this maybe for 2 or 3 days and you will see major improvement coming in here. Would like to share another remedy with you. It's called MAGNESIA PHOSPHORICA. Here I would suggest the potency 30. It's a little bit similar to the remedy COLOCYNTHIS. So, that remedy can be even used for menstrual pains or any abdominal pains. It doesn't have to be just colic. But what gives this away is that, of course, they bend double, but here it's not so much that they get better from firm or hard pressure, but from warmth, from a hot water bottle. So if your older child feels like the colic is better from a hot water bottle, I would suggest magnesium phosphorica 30, 1 tablet, and maybe the next day if needed. Just on this note, I would like to mention that if your child constantly suffers or sort of moans about tummy aches, 90% of that is really emotionally related. So there may be an incident at school, there may be taking too much of this tension on between quarreling parents, or there was a divorce happening. Grief really hits the little bellies of our children, so have a look at that point. Another remedy is called Nux vomica, often overlooked here in the theme of colic. And here the remedy is really indicated when you think your child suffers from constipation or not regular stools, and that the spasms or the accumulated feces or the inability, to release the stool is causing the colic. That happens in newborns too. It doesn't have to be just an older child. Nux vomica is a godsend here. Also, they can have maybe a stuffed up nose, little newborns, and they try to suckle, but it's really hard, and they snuffle along, and of course they gulp in more air then, which doesn't help. So if you have a combination maybe of snuffling noses and also constipation particular, think about Nux vomica. Nux vomica 6 here, I would say 3 times a day. Often you only need it 2 or 3 days, and then repeat if indicated. Another remedy, I can't help sharing all the gold nuggets with you today. You won't get it over the counter. You maybe have to order it online, but just want to throw that in too. It's called Ethusa sinapium. And here, although indicated in the newborn period, Ethusa is very helpful if infants temporarily cannot tolerate the mother's milk. It can be maybe after an acute cold, and basically there is this projectile vomiting going on, diarrhea, almost immediately after nursing. And there is sort of a cycle happening. So they feel dehydrated and they suckle, and then they immediately fall asleep because they're exhausted. And then there's this projectile vomiting, and then they wake up maybe really hungry, and the whole cycle starts again, and they really become dehydrated and very weak. So often, then they need some fluid. I would say, more so in a way with electrolytes even, to build up the whole energy. But, in this case, of course, seek out professional help. But try Ethusa sinapium 6, 1 tablet 3 times daily. Maybe that just gets you over the worst. Last remedy. I can't really help it today, but I want to share with you a remedy you also find in the health food store. It's called biochemic cell or tissue salt. Now, cell salt more in Europe, and tissue salts more in Europe, and cell salt is called more in the US. In the US, the manufacturer Highlands offers it. So there are 12 different kinds of biochemic tissue salts, and I would like you to have a look at nut phos or natrium phosphorica 6X. And it is a natural cell salt which the body usually produces by itself, but maybe in newborns it's underproduced. And it's made from lactose, which is really good in that sense because it's an active ingredient which is already in formulas or in the breast milk even. Now this remedy is really effective if there's a lot of gas going on or burping. It's also great for acid reflux in the adults. Don't get me wrong, it's not just only indicated for babies, but because we talk about colics, you want to really target and specify the remedy for that. So nut phos comes in sort of soft tablets, and I would say before the feed, maybe 2 tablets. They really dissolve straight onto the tongue with babies, or if you make a powder and again give it to them, it really helps just to calm down the gas and the flatulence. You can also give it after the feeding if you feel like that would help. It's like before and after. I also will mention some supplements here because they're very helpful. In this case, think about Lactobacillus acidophilus. They're highly recommended for infant colic. Now they're natural occurring flora and they're found in the human intestines. And these supplements will help build up healthy intestinal flora, but also supports the growth of digestive enzymes. Enzymes are catalysts in our body which help us to break down food from carbs to oils to proteins and help us to assimilate our food much better. And often today we are lacking enzymes. So be sure to get an active, viable form of acidophilus. And I would say in the very beginning, with children, older children, maybe double the dose for the first 2 days and then taper it off to the suggested dosage. Later on, if the child is eating solids, I also would like to introduce more like substances like kefir or buttermilk or yogurt, which contain active acidophilus. And also, the breastfeeding mom should take an acidophilus supplement while breastfeeding because that will be shared via the mother's milk. Let's have a look at some herbal recipes. I always love Rosemary Gladstar's formulas. They really work very well. And there's nothing better than slippery elm and marshmallow. So it comes in a powder form, it's a bark, and it makes this sort of thick gruel, and you can mix it up with some juice or cereal, and it really helps so much. Why? Because they're extremely mucilaginous. It means it slimes, it coats, and it soothes the intestinal lining. So I would say you go to a health food store or herb store and ask them to prepare you maybe 100 grams of that mixture. And when I say 1 part or half part, they would know according to the overall quantity. So I want you to get 1 part of slippery elm bark powdered, 1 part of marshmallow root, again powdered, an 1/8 part of cinnamon powdered, and an 1/8 part of fennel seed, and here again powdered. Don't have the seeds, right? Put it really in a nice mixture. So combine all these 4 ingredients and store them in an airtight container because you will use it again later on. I would say take 1 tablespoon of the herb mixture to 1 cup of boiling water in a pan, and you sort of cook it or simmer it slowly for about 10-15 minutes. And then you sweeten it with maple syrup. Now store the liquid in the refrigerator and warm it up before serving. And the tea can be, as I get, mixed with juice or cereal. And I would say the infant may drink as much of the tea as desired, and also the mother should take about 3 to 4 dosages of that as well during the day. Again, it's shared via the mother milk. Then sea tea, really helpful here too. I would say 1 part of fennel, 1 part of dill, 3 parts of anise, 3 parts of chamomile, sort of a 1/4 part of catnip, and a pinch of stevia just to sweeten it. Again, mix the ingredients and store them in an air-tight container and use it when needed. And here I would say infuse 1 tablespoon of this entire mixture in 1 cup of boiling water and let it sit. And cover it maybe for about 45 minutes. It needs a little while to infuse. And give the infant sort of teaspoon dosages sort of every few minutes, particularly while the acute colic is happening, plus the homeopathic remedies. It really helps so well. So this tea may also be given effectively in small doses before the feeding time. And as I said, it often calms down the whole is sort of the spastic part of the intestines. So I gave you a great list of really beneficial tools here. You know, one of them will work, but a combination of them is even better, and your baby will really, really love it and be so much more relieved. If you're interested to dive more into my work, have a look at my website, medicanova.net, at the online academy, where you find comprehensive online home study courses in Thriving with Homeopathy. That is a general course for the whole family, carers, even nurses and beyond. And another course called Thriving with Homeopathy for Birthing Life. As the title already says, it's indicated for pregnancy, labor and postnatal care, and can be very beneficial for midwives, doulas, childbirth educators, nurses, but also expecting moms. And if you're interested in a personal health consultation for yourself as well as for your children, contact me at my email health@medicanova.net. And lastly, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, support my work. I'm really, really grateful for that. Share it and like it. I mean, this video should be shared with all the young moms and dads out there. And leave your comments below if you have any questions or something comes up. I'm more than happy to support you here. So till next time, much love. Take care.